What are the 5 biggest mistakes screenwriters make?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to do 5 off the top of my head, but I will say underestimating the importance of structure. A good structure is, I feel like that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Is going to pave the way. It is the story. Structure is story, right? I was not, William Goldman is the one who said that. It is determining character development. So all of those, I really do think 1 through 4 are the importance of structure. And then if I had to say a 5th thing, I want to say it's sort of a contradictory thing, that you need to be both tougher on yourself and you need to be easier on yourself. That I see writers do things like they'll say to a friend, maybe a friend's a more accomplished writer than they are, and they'll say, I finished my draft, would you read it? It's not very good. Why are you bothering your friend, the more accomplished writer, to read your draft that's not very good? Right? You need to put a little more effort into it. You need to be a little harder on yourself. You should think your draft is very good before you are opening it up for feedback, right? You're kind of wasting the expertise of those around you if you're sharing drafts when you don't think they're very good. At the same time, you kind of need to be easier on yourself. So be harder on yourself in the sense that, don't bug your friend until your script is in a good place, but also be kind to yourself. That, there's a lot of what makes people successful is luck, is dumb luck, and there are people who are more talented than you that are successful, and there are people who are less talented than you that are successful. So give yourself a break that no script is going to be perfect. Even a great writer can, and I've seen writers kind of kill themselves doing draft after draft after draft and obsessing and getting contradictory notes, and then they don't know what they're doing, and and driving themselves crazy because they're being a little too hard on themselves. At some point, you got to let it be. You got to, once you feel good about it, you've done some good drafts on it, you feel good, you've gotten some good feedback from your writing group or people you trust, not everyone's going to like it. You got to put it out in the world and relax, and you're going to get some notes back that aren't what you agree with. Don't obsess about it and because you can't please everyone.
With your book, The Nutshell Technique, which chapter is most debated by people? Whether it's a friendly debate or whether it's outright people have these very severe beliefs about.
I'll say the most confusion is the concept of the want, right? So the very first thing that I talk about is that in the first scene, the character has something that they want, that they get in the point of no return. This is the trickiest piece for some reason. And I have 2 chapters on it. It's actually the only element I devote 2 chapters to for this reason. I try to, and this is just from years of experience that I've learned this, I try to help people by calling it and explaining, and it's still, and yet still there's confusion about this. This want that I'm talking about here, I call it the setup want. It is not necessarily the character's greatest want. It is not necessarily the character's biggest motivation. And yet people still do that they still think it's, my character wants one thing, and according to Jill's nutshell technique, they have to get it in the point of no return, but that doesn't work with my point of no return. My point that I've tried to make clear is that your character, just like your character has multiple flaws, they have multiple things that they want. There's not a one-to-one relationship between wants and point of no returns. Your character wants multiple things. All I'm saying is that there's one want that they get in the point of no return. It may not be their biggest want. It may not be their defining want. It may not be the thing that they say that they want. It's just something they want. So sometimes I call it a throwaway want. Sometimes your character just wants a sandwich. All we're doing is we're setting up this little piece, I call this be careful what you wish for, what happens in the point of no return. So be careful and don't think that that makes a movie not apply to the nutshell technique, because it didn't seem like the character got what they wanted. I talk about in Groundhog Day, his most obvious, because it's a great example of this point, his most obvious want, he talks about in the first scene, he thinks that there's a network that's scouting him for a big network job, right? That's his most obvious want. He wants a big network job. He doesn't get that want, right? I'm not saying he doesn't want it. He says he wants it. I believe him. It's just not the setup want. So you need to look and find something else that the character wants that they get. So I'm not negating the fact that Phil Connor wants a network job. I'm not negating the fact that Phil Connor wants women to worship him. He wants lots of things he's not going to get, just like we all want lots of things we don't get. The thing that he wants that he gets is a little throwaway line, he says. Basically, that he doesn't want to spend more than 24 hours in Puxatawny. It's a little throwaway line. Matter of fact, it wasn't in the 3 versions of the screenplay that I looked at researching this for this book.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was very late in the process that they also discovered we're missing something. We're missing something that makes Phil, even Phil, this jerk, isn't a victim of the universe suddenly making him stuck on one day. He kind of, in the original drafts, was kind of a victim of just this thing happened to him and he's stuck. The writers added very late in the process, because it's not in the 3 scripts I've seen, but some place between those 3 drafts and the movie it was shot, they added a scene where he says to the substitute weatherman who wants to spend more time covering for him when he's in Puxatawny, Phil says, please, I want to spend an extra second in Puxatawny. It's a throwaway one. I don't want to spend more than 24 hours in Puxatawny. We're just setting up, be careful what you wish for. Because he got his want. He only has to spend 24 hours in Puxatawny, right? Except for there's a big catch. He's going to have to spend the same 24 hours over and over again. So the want is a setup want. I call it a setup want with quotes around it. It's not necessarily the character's big want.
Could we use an example from Chinatown?
Okay.
Jack Nicholson's character, like an initial want. He meets Faye Dunaway.
Yeah.
What's his first want that he gets that's not really his real want?
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you what the real want is. So the setup want, we're going to find in literally their first scene. So it's before he meets Faye Dunaway. It would be in that very first scene when he's got Curly sitting across from him. Curly's that client. He's showing the pictures of Curly with the cheating, who's been cheating on him, right? And Curly's sobbing all over the place, right? So what he wants is what he doesn't have here. He wants a classy case. This cheating wives thing is not really classy. So what he wants is a classy case. He wants something classier than what he's getting. He gets that in the main case that's going to be Chinatown. The catch is it's got corruption all over it, right?
Sure.
It's a lot bigger than he thought it was.
It's not even the wife.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's kind of his initial want.
Yeah.
So he wants a classier
Yep.
case. He thinks he gets it. He gets this femme fatale that comes in.
Yep.
Turns out it's a whole mess of trouble, but he doesn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So the want, very often it's a throwaway thing that they say.
Interesting.
In Juno's got another nice example I talk about in the book, that the want is, it's a really clever one actually, where it's the scene where she's drinking the Sunny D because she's taking the pregnancy test and she's trying to pee.
Oh, right.
She's drinking the Sunny D. And she sees an old discarded chair somebody left out on the curb, and that reminds her of it puts her in a flashback of her having sex with Polly the moment that got her pregnant. And the thing that she wants, she's just looking at a chair. She wants to save something that's being discarded. The chair that she pulls and she puts on Polly's lawn as sort of this act of, right? And then how does she save something that's being discarded at the point of no return? What's the point of no return in Juno? Do you remember?
I don't. It's been a few years. Is it something with her babysitting job?
No, she is planning. She's pregnant. She goes for an abortion.
That's right.
She can't go through the abortion.
That's right.
So she's going to save something that was about to be discarded, a fetus. So what we're doing is you're getting your want, but you're getting it with irony, right? In the beginning, she just wanted to save a chair.
That's right. Okay.
Right? So it fits, I call it a throwaway want, and yet it also fits with her character really nicely. She's someone who kind of saves discarded things. She has a hamburger phone, and people like Polly, who's sort of discarded. So it's very fitting in her character that she wants to save this discarded living room set, but then she goes to save a fetus that thought she could discard and discovers that's a lot harder than she thought it was going to be.